All right, thank you everyone for coming to this session. My session for today's talk is zero to month-end closing. Uh, Lately, we have been seeing that month-end closing has been an issue for a lot of companies, especially they go through a strenuous implementation process and then they have to immediately within a month close their month. A little about myself. I'm Murtada Karjekar from Open Source Integrators. I'm the managing director of OSI Canada, and our company is based out of US, LATAM, and Canada. Moving on to my QR code is up here. If you want to ask questions, just scan this, or else I'll show that up again. Moving on, why does this session matter? Common challenges, what I have seen is transition from legacy systems is tough. There are years of data that needs to move over and have better processes. All eyes are on accounting for a timely financial return. We've seen that there's a lot of pressure, especially on the accounting side. Not to forget, of course, there is a lot of stress on sales, supply chain, but accounting is the one is on the downside. You have a lot of results to report. Reliability and confidence in numbers. We have always heard nothing works within the first 2 days, and then everything slowly it works. Month-end process becomes more of a fire drill than a seamless, repeatable process. But that's what we want to focus and get ourselves to. Overall, after new systems go live, we experience a lot of slower, more complex, error-prone month-end process. We want to reduce this pain and make it more seamless. What are the facts? Few month-end, we've seen month-end take more than generally companies close by the first 10 days. But when we go live, month-end takes more than I've seen companies take nearly 2 months just because of their confidence in numbers. They want to double check, triple check. They want to check every side and make sure that the numbers they report is correct. And then we see a lot of frustration around that. Data migration, that is something very important. Data migration takes months to finalize. We get the data from legacy systems and then there are always changes. Errors and delays can undermine decisions, compliance with financial regulations, and slower and more complex month ends are experienced till teams adapt to new process. Moving on, when do you plan for month end? Generally, as an implementer, Odoo implementer, we normally talk about month end very early on. It's never too early. This is a subject that should never be discussed towards the end of the project, before go live, or even worse, after go live. Understand what are the closing processes in Odoo, log dates, deferral methods, audit logs, etc. What is actually required to close? We all know all of us who use Odoo, we just have to make sure that our financial records are complete, and then we go through the process. There's no set process to do that. Checklists. This is something which we have introduced at OSI. We've created a very thorough, detailed checklist which we go through with our clients. Ask and implement access rights and permissions. This is also something that has been ignored previously. Needs to be recreated. Users need to test how Odoo's access right works and what kind of permissions different users have, especially when it comes to mass editing, for example. It's a feature that is pretty solid, very useful, but do you want everyone to have that access or not? That's why skipping this could lead to post-go-live confusions and compliance. So Odoo is designed for real-time operations, daily posting, reconciliations. We need to understand, simulate, and rehearse each and every process in Odoo. A little bit on OSI's methodology. What we do is we analyze, optimize, automate, transition. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we have to go through these steps to make sure that we analyze what are your requirements, especially on month end. We optimize the process because not every legacy system process needs to be repeated in Odoo. We need to automate, find ways to automate your processes so we reduce the time, and of course, transition eventually. Well, as a client, I would say that you lay down your current month process and challenge your implementer with how they're going to fulfill these month-end process. What are their plans and how we're going to achieve it? So it's very important that you get this checklist, go one by one, and make sure that you understand these checklists. And more better if you can simulate that in Odoo. For example, how do I do accruals in Odoo as a month-end process? Okay, so this is how you're going to do, and this is how you show it in Odoo. Moving on, checklists. This slide talks more about checklists. Treat month-end as a critical milestone. So it's nothing that you are just talking about implementation, your current gap processes, and trying to train your employees. Let's talk about month-end pretty early on. Prepare your one checklist and ask for a client one. If you don't have one, start building one. Take the help of the client to build one. There are Odoo default accounts. We have seen in the past that users have seen those accounts, but they haven't really spent time in understanding those default accounts. So as an implementer, we reiterate these default accounts, and we also explain why they are there. Execute mock data migration. So I'm coming back to data migration because data migration is number one, but it is a critical aspect of delays in month end. That's because your legacy records are not really moved into Odoo, and that creates a lot of confusion. So if the more you transition and make this data conversion from your legacy system into Odoo, better, because then you can cut at least 50% of your time when it comes to month-end delays. Stay on top of inventory valuations, taxes, COGS, and GL balances. So that's one other important thing. Identify manual process that would be eliminated. So as I mentioned, not every process has to be done in Odoo because Odoo is much advanced and the features really cuts a lot of slack. Understand payroll entries and business performance via analytics. Use analytics as much as you can. And of course, payroll, not a lot of companies, I'm focusing more on North America, are using payroll for Odoo. So Odoo is still an external system. Understand how your payroll entries are going to move in. Especially if you are a manufacturing company and you have a lot of labor absorption. That's something you want to discuss early on. Illustrate core month-end task automated by Odoo. As a summary, these are in your checklist. You should have all cash reconciliations, opening balance reconciliations, subledger reconciliations, accruals, and of course lock period. Sorry. GL reconciliations. This is something we have really focused a lot on. What we do is when we transition legacy data into Odoo, we start reconciling them. So you have these you have your main accounts, subledgers. You use allow reconciliation option, which is in chart of accounts to reconcile them. Implement controls to keep opening balances and conversion accounts under check, because conversion accounts need to, they are just a wash account, they need to go. And use matching number for reconciliations. And lock periods as much as you can. So prior to go live, you lock period, so nobody enters in the prior period. We have also empowered a client's accounting team member from each area to perform GL account reviews to ensure data integrity. So you are having somebody check that on a daily basis, come to us as an implementer if they have any questions, and then early on you rectify any kind of mistakes or errors. Test and validate your custom code. Custom code is a different discussion altogether, but if you do have custom code that has an accounting effect, that needs to be validated very, very early on. And integrations, of course, like e-commerce or any other kind of integration that has an accounting effect. Measure your GL trends. So what we normally do after we go live, we look at the GL trends, compare it with legacy systems. Of course, there will be a mapping required if the chart of accounts have changed, and we compare trends. So mainly when you're looking at expenses or revenue, there is a GL trend, and that just because you're implemented Odoo, that should not change. Transition into Odoo's 19 audit functionality. Most of us, we saw what our audit functionality can do, and that's something I think is pretty useful tool to keep your checklist in order. I always say this: journal items is your new best friend. So try to understand journal items as much as I can. Because that's where you're going to look at your trends, you're going to reconcile your accounts, and especially look at any anomalies that exist. A little bit on AI automations. What are the options? Of course, there are a lot of options out there, but we're trying to learn, and of course, as humans, we make machines smart, not the other way around. But we have to use whatever tools we have in our toolbox. So AI-powered server actions, we can define automated flows, especially we have accruals, journal adjustments, anything that you can automate with confidence. That's very important. AI fields in Odoo Studio, we've seen that automated, similar to OCR, if you can automate fields that can be populated automatically through your logic and Studio capabilities, that reduces your transaction processing time. Ask AI. This is something which is going to grow big. We have our Ask AI query dashboards, which data stays within Odoo. It's very important that it does. And with Ask AI, we can query a lot of questions, especially when it comes to GL transactions, your trends, your business performance, and your reporting capabilities. OCR enhancements and smarter expenses, this is something that really cuts down a lot of time, especially when it comes to transaction processing. Bank reconciliation, taxes, again, these are really good, strong capabilities in Odoo that needs to improve when you're doing your reconciliations. Audit trail improvements, reporting and dashboard enhancements. This builds on your internal and external auditors' confidence when you have audit trail and making sure that there is a detailed record of whatever you do. A faster close as it reduces internal review time. This is a quick month-end criticality matrix based on automation depth, low to high. What I think is ease of use. If you look at audit trail, for example, or manual adjustments, this is pretty easy to achieve. Audit trail, AI-powered reconciliations have a higher impact when it comes to a month-end. Server actions, you can use it, but that goes with your experience and the appetite what your client has. So you're not trying to automate everything you're trying to have a gradual process where you can understand and you can implement. Mock month ends. This slide would just quickly show the steps. So you have your opening balance reconciliations, your subledger reconciliations, bank reconciliations, GL, and then you create your financial statements, validate it, and then you move on to month end and lock periods. Finally, key takeaways. Plan and communicate early. Know your data daily. It's important. Automate your process. Plan and implement controls and guardrails. This happens gradually. Controls happens immediately with guardrails, and then leverage on Odoo's AI capabilities. Practice before go live. You do a mock go live and closing, and then eventually actual go live and month-end process. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. So
Yeah.
now let's move to the questions. So what can you do if AI makes mistakes?
What can you do? Again, going back to your GL will not lie. Everything is there. So if you are validating your data on a daily basis, you would catch your mistakes, and then you need to go back to AI and reconfigure what errors it's making.
Okay, thank you. So I think everything was clear because there isn't any question. But if people have questions, where they can find you?
Well, my LinkedIn profile is over here, and I can check my pad. If they can leave their email address, I can definitely respond. And I'm also at the Serpents booth on the main hall. I'll be there if you need anyone.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.